Hello and welcome back to another episode of Twisted Iron Projects. In today's video, it's going to be a pretty simple one. I am doing a review after 6 months, a little over 6 months, of using my NC Tool Company round horn 80-pound anvil. If you want to see more, make sure to stick around. To start things off, I would like to talk about the overall condition that's held up over time. The face of the anvil is pretty darn hard. I've missed a couple times and I haven't done any indents onto it, so that's pretty good news. And I do often work over the corners, the edges of it, and there is no chipping yet. So it is hard, but it's not brittle hard. I really like that fact. The horn is just a little bit softer. I'm assuming that's to prevent from breaking off at any point. And so there are some indentations from where I've missed and struck it with a hammer, but it's not bad. Overall, it's still fairly smooth. When I do come out here in the forge, I try to spend several hours, and so the anvil does heat up a little bit, but the hardness has not changed very much, and it does still retain a good ring and quite a bit of rebound to my hammer. I haven't noticed any difference from when I first bought it till now, and like I said, I had to use it fairly often, and it does get fairly warm, but there has been no change. As for specifically on the horn, the reason why I got this is because it was round. It didn't have that slight radius on the top like most anvils do. And I prefer a more cone-shaped horn. This one is pretty darn good, very round, but it does go from being a good cone to being slightly ovaled here on the sides, but it's not too bad. It's still very workable, and I do enjoy using it. Typically, I only work within this first section anyways for the radiuses I've been using. Only time I really come back this way is if I'm trying to use this slight curve for thicker material to spread it faster in one direction. So that's pretty much the only time I come back to the back section at all. I usually try to keep my work right about here if I'm actually trying to make a ring or a curve. Now, the 80-pound round horn anvil does come with this shelf. It is 2.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches long when facing this way. And at first I wasn't too sure what to make of it, but over time I've been using it more and more as a means to secure my material. Say if I have an odd shaped piece that I'm working and I need to secure it in there, flatten it out, that gives me a nice secure area to place it to strike without having to do it over here, to where as I hit it, it bounces and moves around. This way it keeps it solid in place. That corner does, so where I could hit it. Another thing, and what I mostly use this for, this shelf, is if I am working a piece that I need to do work over the edge of the anvil with, and it's not quite long enough, per se, to be able to get all the way over, like so. I could bring it over to this smaller shelf and gives me a smaller surface to where the piece could be smaller and I could still work over the edge of the anvil. So this shelf has actually come in very handy. I'm very happy with it and enjoy it. I definitely recommend that if you don't have an anvil with a extra shelf on the side of it, if you're looking at upgrading, that's a pretty good thing to have. Now, a downside to this anvil is the hardy hole. A hardy hole is a 1 inch on the top hardy hole, but as it goes in, it tapers inward slightly and is somewhat warped. It's not perfectly squared. And so that made it to where I had to grind and fit my hardy shanks for my hardy hole. And it took a little bit of work to get it to work, but it works out okay. And there hasn't been any further damage to it of me using it. It's just, it would have been nice to have a square hardy hole, perfectly square hardy hole, and an even size hardy hole all the way down into it, rather than the slight taper that it does have. So that is one complaint I have about this anvil. The second complaint I have about this anvil is a lot of your anvils have a 1 to 2 inch drop down here by the horn that's used typically as a cutting plate, to where if you are doing trying to cut material or chisel, you could do it on that plate, and it's a little bit softer of a face than the actual face of the anvil, to where you're not damaging your tools. This doesn't have that little drop shelf for cutting, and so I kind of wish that that was incorporated into their casting of having a cutting plate shelf. That would have been really nice. Now, as for deadening the ring of the anvil, all it really took for me on this one was to wrap this large heavy chain around it and just make sure that it was very well secured to my base and I had a solid base. That deadened the ring quite a bit and is now very bearable. I don't need ear protection while I'm working here because the ring is just piercing my ears or anything like that. With just a simple chain and making sure it's secured solid to the base went a long way, and it deadened the ring. It's quite enjoyable to work now. So my overall review of this anvil after 6, almost 7 months now of using it is I'm very happy. This is a very good product. I give props to NC Tool Company for making a affordable and good anvil. And say things I like most about it is 1, the price. You can't really beat the price for the size of anvil that this is buying a brand new anvil. They are very well priced. 2, I love the weight. 80 pounds isn't too large to where it's hard for me to get it moved into my shop and to put into place. Or if I ever do want to move it again, like take it to demonstrations, 80 pounds is very easy to move, but it's not too light to where I'm sacrificing the amount of work and the size of material I'm able to work and a time frame. Having that extra weight is very helpful. I went from using a 55-pound anvil to this 80-pound anvil, and I've realized that I'm able to work larger material with less effort having this larger anvil. So that is a benefit that I really enjoy about it. Another thing I really like about this is the overall shape of the horn. It's very usable. It is a lot more of a cone than most anvils I've been seeing, and so I enjoy having that. And a third thing that I really like about this anvil is this side shelf that they added onto it. It makes using the anvil a lot more versatile as to what size of material you could use, how you could arrange your material, and security using this corner, so on and so forth. It's just a very useful part of anvil. I'm very happy with it, and I definitely recommend any anvil that you could get this shelf on. If you see that shelf and you're like, I don't know, it's a blessing, trust me. I really enjoy it. Now, for the downsides of this anvil, I would have to say that really the only downsides is the lacking of a cutting shelf. That would be very nice to see them add into this anvil's casting. The hardy hole not being squared up very well, as well as the pritchard hole not being very even. So those are really my only 3 complaints about this anvil. Aside from that, it is very good. I'm very happy with it after 6 months, almost 7 months now of working with it. The people at Centaur Forge that I bought this from, they're very good. Their customer service was fantastic, and I say thank you guys for helping me out. I did call them on the phone. They answered all my questions I had. They were very helpful. So if you're looking for a new anvil and you're not looking for anything like 200, 300 pounds, just a decent size, good priced anvil, call up the people at Centaur Forge or call up the people at NC Tool Company. I did talk to some of them as well about their anvil, and ask them any question that you have. Ask them. They are more than helpful. I can't recommend them enough, and I'm very happy with my NC Tool Company 80-pound round horn anvil. So I want to say thank you guys for watching this video on my review of the NC Tool Company 80-pound round horn anvil. I hope this helps you out in deciding which anvil that you want to get, and I will catch you in the next video. Stay classy, party on.